Oh, hey folks. Don't mind me. I was just thinking about what life might be like if Mario didn't get erased from the timeline.
Oh no! Bowser's taken over this place! Mario, now it's up to you to turn this Bowser Galaxy into a Super Mario Galaxy!
I love this movie. Nintendo slop! Get your Nintendo slop here! The past couple of years, I have been a sucker for video game movies. As of late, they've been on a kind of generational run of being pretty tolerable. Don't look at that. To be honest, I'm not typically one for movies, just like, in general. Nothing specifically against them, they're just not my preferred activity most of the time. Besides, they require so much time and attention span. Watching a 1.5 hour movie is such a commitment. I need that time to grind TF2 and watch 3-hour YouTube videos. So yeah, I mean, I'll still go and see them from time to time and do enjoy them, but a movie isn't always going to be my first pick for how to spend a weekend outing with my friends. But slap Mario's face on it? Well then, sign me the hell up. So that's why about 3 years ago when the Super Mario Bros. Movie came out, I was pretty intrigued. Generally, the cultural legacy of video game movies up until around that time period was that they were pretty ass. They had a reputation of being not only poor adaptations of their video game source material, but also just being pretty horrific movies in general. Like every time I've seen footage of the 1993 Mario Bros. Movie, it's been against my will. However, by the time of the 2023 film, in the preceding couple of years, a few recent video game movies were beginning to try and dip their toes back into the water. The Sonic movies and Detective Pikachu, while not amazing, were at least decent and had alright reception, maybe kinda average movies overall, but far leaps beyond the disasters of 1993 Mario Bros. Or Alone in the Dark. There was also the Last of Us TV series that had just begun earlier that year and had received a lot of genuine critical acclaim. So maybe, just maybe, the Mario movie could be something decent too. Holy shit! They cast Chris Pratt as Mario and it was being made by Illuminations, and I mean, look, I love Despicable Me as much as the next guy, but what are they gonna do to my boy? Granted, I just kinda recently watched a video essay complaining about the movie Sing, so I think honestly I might have just had too much Illuminations and celebrity voice acting on the brain, but given these things combined with the interesting history of video game movies up to that point, I was a little concerned. It was too early to tell at that point, of course, but it seemed like it had the potential to be either a decent little time or a complete train wreck of bad Charles Martinet impressions and Bowser twerking scenes.
Man, I spent hours of my life stomping Koopas.
But sure enough, the first Mario movie ended up being actually decent. Like, yeah, sure, it's not peak cinema, not beating Pixels 2015 starring Adam Sandler or anything, but it was good enough to have a good time with it as a Mario fan. And then, of course, a few years later, we see the arrival of a new Mario film, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And you bet your ass I was paying $20 to go see it. So upon its release, my friends and I squatted up at our local movie theater to witness cinema. It was an interesting experience, and after having some time to reflect on and analyze it, I think that it... Wait, what even happened in this movie? I guess my first takeaway from this would be that the plot and progression felt like a bit all over the place. Like, technically speaking, there is a plot there. The things that happen do kinda more or less connect to each other in some way, but also it does feel like just a bunch of random stuff happening a lot of the time. I remember by the time the movie got to the end with that last fight scene, I was like, oh, wait, okay, I guess this is the end. It was fine, but just kinda didn't feel like a cohesive thing was happening a lot of the time. The movie opens decently well. I liked seeing Rosalina and the Lumas and such, and it was fun how they integrated the Mario Galaxy storybook bits in there. Plus, Mega-like fans are eating good tonight. It was kinda cool how they set up a more dynamic central character role for Rosalina here. Unfortunately, this is the most action she gets in the entire movie. I don't know, they called it the Mario Galaxy movie, they started with all this Galaxy stuff, and they just kinda don't do a Mario Galaxy movie. Sure, they go into space, and there's some random elements and references scattered here and there, but overall it's a pretty even spread of stuff from many different Mario games. And they set up this whole thing of like Rosalina and Peach being long-lost sisters because fuck game theory and them needing to reunite and everything, but then Rosalina just doesn't do anything for like 90% of the movie. Also, now that I've heard this repeated like 50 times already, I know that it's not actually an original thought, but fucking Star Fox got more screen time than Rosalina did. Oh yeah, Star Fox. Fox McCloud is here in this movie, for some reason. There were a number of other non-Mario Nintendo characters in here. You had the Pikmin, which was a fun little reference, and apparently Samus's ship was also in the background as an Easter egg for a brief moment, although I didn't actually catch it myself while I was watching. You also had Rob and Game & Watch make brief appearances, and honestly, I thought their bits were actually pretty funny. Though with all these guys, they were just references and quick little gags. With Fox, like, he's just straight up a main character. What Star Fox fan died and used their last wish to put him in this movie? It is kinda odd, but I honestly don't really mind. I thought it was kinda fun, and I feel like the Mario movies tend to shine the most when they're just doing a bunch of silly nonsense. And honestly speaking, I do feel like the movie did fairly well with its comedic elements. The first movie also had some good, funny moments, but obviously it's been 3 years, and the only main one I remember is the Bowser Peaches bit. It's hard to make a good comparison at this point without rewatching, but I feel like here in the second movie there were a decent bit more jokes and bits that I actually found sincerely, unironically funny. Bowser might have been the literally me character in the first movie, but here Luigi absolutely steals the show. When he said, "I'm 10, my life is over," I knew he understood me. I also remember being kind of pleasantly surprised by the babies bit. Like when Mario and Luigi first got turned into babies, I was worried it was going to be a long, obnoxious subplot where they have to quest for some magical item that'll transform them back and lift the curse, and then actual Mario and Luigi would just do nothing for half the movie. But no, it was a relatively brief segment with just that chase sequence and a couple of jokes, and then they changed back to normal and didn't overstay their welcome. Also, can you imagine how much restraint it took for them to not make a joke where the babies shit themselves? The one other main thing that sticks out about this movie to me is that Bowser's character arc is a pretty major plot thread, but then it's just sort of all over the place and not really all that fleshed out or coherent. He's good for like 2 seconds at the beginning, and then when he reunites with Bowser Jr., he's a little conflicted and apprehensive at first, but then almost immediately just like half-heartedly goes back to being bad with no real drama or major catalyst. Sure, it's not really surprising that Bowser is the villain of the Mario movie, but it did just feel like a bit of an underbaked aspect. I remember literally that morning of the day that I saw the movie, I happened to be listening to something about how good writing needs to have "this happened, therefore this happened," or "this happened, but this happened," rather than just "this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened." This movie felt like a lot of "and then this happened," almost more of a set of mini-stories rather than one fully unified plot. But realistically, all I was really thinking coming out of that movie the day of was just, huh, that was neat. Sure, the plot isn't spectacular, but also, like, it's the Mario movie, man, that's not why I'm here. It's just kind of fun to see all the elements of different parts of the Mario franchise that they smushed in here, and I think they leaned further into having slightly more niche references and inclusions catered towards more hardcore fans of the Mario series. There were so many random characters, items, locations, visuals, songs, sound effects, which were all cool to see, and I especially liked that one bit at the end where Bowser Jr. sort of plays the original Super Mario Bros. I thought that was genuinely a really clever way of integrating the visuals and gameplay of the 8-bit game in a way that made sense in the context of what was actually happening in the movie. I've heard this movie described as jingling keys a number of times, and like, it's jingling keys. But also, jingling keys are kind of fun sometimes, and to be honest, I wasn't really expecting much more than that. Not to say that that makes any of its shortcomings okay in an objective sense, but in terms of my personal viewing experience, I'm a simple man. I see Mario, I like. It was an enjoyable little time, and while it's maybe not worthy of an Oscar or anything, I do think it's at least worthy of a fun afternoon outing with your friends.
Overall, despite its flaws, I had a decent time with this movie, and honestly, I'm really grateful it exists, because it allowed me to go outside and do an activity with my friends like a normal person. I mean, can you imagine if Mario got, like, erased from the timeline or something? I mean, I'd probably just be some shut-in loser who plays TF2 all the time. That would be crazy. I need to go think about my life choices.